What's up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. As promised, I am back today with 3 looks with the Huda Beauty Neon Obsessions palettes. I bought all 3 of them, so I am going to do 1 look with each one today. That way you can see what each of them looks like and also maybe decide if you want one of them, which one you want. A lot of these looks are very summery, very fun. It's a good time of year for that, and you know how I know it's a good time of year for that? Because I took the dog out for a walk before I sat down to film this portion of the video, and I had some really serious boob sweat going on. And you know what? That means it's summer and it's time for some color. I also wanted to mention on here, first of all, thank you guys so much for your response about the book club series. Wow, blown away by the support and how excited you guys are for it. Just so you know, the first installation of that went up on Monday the 3rd, and we discussed the first half of A Court of Thorns and Roses. If you would like to participate, or if you are currently waiting for the next half of that book to come out, I'm looking at my calendar over here to make sure that I'm not fucking up. I will be posting the second half of A Court of Thorns and Roses in a Get Ready With Me format on June 17th, which is also a Monday. A few of you have expressed that you would like me to do them faster, but 1, I can't. I literally can't pump them out any faster than that while taking notes and filming other things in between. 2, I want to make sure that I give you guys plenty of time in between to catch up on where we are in the books, because some of us definitely have the time or the freedom in our jobs to keep up really quickly with these things. But for a lot of you, I know that's not the case. So I want to make sure it's a reasonable amount of time for everyone. So that's the plan, and that's when the next one of those will be up. Before we get into it, please take a second and leave a like on this video if you don't mind, because that really helps me out and I really appreciate it. And if you're new here and you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, maybe you've seen 1 or 2 of my videos and you haven't quite made that decision, let me take a moment to convince you. When I was a little kid, I used to get up really early in the morning before my mom did in the summer, and I would sneak downstairs and I would take a piece of white bread and I would put a slice of American cheese on that white bread and I would put it in the microwave and I would eat it. And I thought that it was the most delicious thing in the world. Didn't have a name for it. I just thought that it was a delight, and I used to do this all the time. Why am I telling you this? I don't know, but I feel like maybe you can relate to that on some level, and that could convince you to subscribe. Or it could be the makeup, or it could be just having a fun time. Whatever it is, I would like to encourage you to do so. As always with these 3 looks videos, I will timestamp each of the looks below, and I will also timestamp my little first impressions review at the end in case there is one particular thing that you are interested in. I'll also list all the products that I use in the video in the description as well. And that's all we got to talk about before we get into it. I made myself hungry with that cheese bread story, so I am gonna zip it and we will get right into the first look. For the first look, I'm gonna go into the neon green palette because this is actually the only one I haven't played with at all yet, and I'm excited. Looking at this, when you really look at it, it's not really all that neon green. We're gonna get a neon green look out of it today though, because I said so. Picking up a BH number 5 brush, I'm gonna go into the brightest neon green shade up here, and I'm gonna start putting that through my crease. That's like a highlighter, not like a makeup highlighter, like a highlighter you use in school. And I'm gonna grab a clean blending brush and start blending the edge of that upward. I'm gonna take a bit more of that shade on a smaller brush and start packing it through the crease again, because this is one of those shades that definitely loses its intensity as you blend it out a bit. I'm not really trying to define my crease here. I think I just wanna do like a green gradient from the lash line up. What's interesting about this palette is it really doesn't have anything to deepen this up within the palette, so that makes it a little bit more difficult to create looks with it. But I think the way to deal with that is to kind of go for more of like a wash of color type of a thing. I'm gonna grab a Real Technique shading brush and go into this lighter bright green right here. And I'm gonna start packing that at the lash line and blend it up toward that neon green that we put down. This one is almost more minty. Next, I'm gonna pick up this shifty minty duochrome right in the center here on a pencil brush, and I'm gonna wet that with some MAC Fix Plus, and I'm gonna put that right in the inner corner. I'm gonna add a nice thick wing to this look, and I'm gonna try something new. This is the Perversion Waterproof Fine Point Eye Pen from Urban Decay. This product already existed, but I've never used it before, and also they have improved the tip apparently. I don't know what the old one was like, but apparently this is new and improved. And brush tip is always my favorite type of tip for an eyeliner. Okay, so far so good on that one. So far, that liner is bomb. That might be my new favorite liquid liner. That was so easy, and I feel like it's nice and crisp and so black. Like that, it's so black. And yet, I'm immediately gonna cover most of it up. I'm gonna go into this shade here that's like a duochrome with a blue-green shift. On a Sigma EO6 wing liner brush, I'm gonna pack some color on that, and I'm going to wet it. And I'm gonna put that over top of that wing so that we get it like a reflective topping on this deep dark black. That kind of gives us a little bit more green. That's fun so far. I'm also going to go back into the lighter center shade that was also duochrome on that same brush. I'm going to pick some of it up, and then I'm going to wet that with Fix Plus as well. And I'm going to pat that over the inner more portion of it so that we get a little bit of a pop of brighter area on that line. And also it kind of blends it into the minty green highlight that we put in the inner corner with the same color. So for the lower portion of the eye, I'm going to use a little bit of this matte peachy pink right here on a pencil brush, and I'm going to run that underneath my lash line. I'm going to go into this pink to green duochrome shifting shade right here, and I'm going to put that right underneath in the inner corner so that it connects into that pink. That color reminds me of like a nail polish that I used to be obsessed with in like the early 2000s. I think it was called, it was from Essie, and I feel like it was called Fiji, but then they discontinued it, and I think they still have a Fiji, so maybe that wasn't it, but it was like a pink with like a little green shift to it, and I was like obsessed with it, and I was so upset when it went away. For the waterline, I'm just going to use a nude pencil. This is Tarte Fake Awake. You use whatever nude pencil you have laying around, doesn't really matter. I'm gonna go finish this eye. I'm gonna add some lashes, and we'll move on to a lip to pair with this. Okay, I used the new Urban Decay Perversion Waterproof Mascara. I am also still testing that. I haven't really played with it much yet, and I use House of Lashes Midnight Luxe, and I finished my skin. And for the lip, what I wanna do is contrast the green, but also keep it really crisp because there's not a lot of structure on the lid of the eye. There's also a lot of shimmer, so I want the lip to be structured and matte because that'll help balance the look of it. Using the Kat Von D liquid lipstick in Miss Argentina. And this is the first look. For the second look, I'm going to use the pink palette. Now, if you saw my first episode of Get Ready With Me, which is my little book club series where I get ready and talk about a book that we all decided to read this month, I used this palette in that video. So I'm going to do something fairly similar to what I did in that video because a lot of you guys liked the color combination, but I'm going to do it a little bit more structured because I just want to, like, you know, tweak it a little bit and play with it a little bit more and bring it further than where I did in just like a casual get ready with me type of a setting. So I'm picking up a Real Techniques Dome Shadow Brush. First, I'm going to go into this lightest pink neon shade here, and that's going to serve as our crease shade. So I'm going to pack that into the crease, bring it up nice and high. Since we're doing a spotlight cut crease, we're going to need some space. Do you ever see people with like incredible lid space and you're just like, do you know what you have? They just wake up with all that lid space, like just to go about their day. They don't even know. It's gonna take a clean brush and blend the edge of that as per usual. I'm gonna grab a Sigma E36, just a smaller blending brush. And I'm gonna go into this more true neon pink matte right here. I'm gonna bring that through the crease as well, but keep it much more concentrated. On a Real Techniques shading brush, I'm gonna go back into the same color. I'm just gonna place that down on the lid as well, leaving the center open. We're gonna cover that anyway, but there's like no reason to fill it up with color if we're gonna cover it up. And on a clean pencil brush, this looks like it has purple on it, but it's just extremely stained. I'm gonna go into this purple shade here, and I'm gonna put that on the outer portions of the lid. And And I'm gonna bring a little bit of that purple up into the crease as well, just to give it a little tiny touch more definition. I'm gonna grab a light concealer. This is the Kat Von D Lacquer Concealer in light neutral. Ideally, I would use one even lighter than this, but I don't have one on hand at the moment. And I don't feel like using the Super Brow today because the one I have is a little dry because I left it open. I'm picking that concealer up on a Nabla cut crease brush. You can use any round flat brush that you have. This, we'd call this in painting a filbert edge. But as long as it has that shape, it's fine. I just find that this one is like sheer perfection for a cut crease. I'm going to create a faux crease in the center and bring that out toward the sides. I'm gonna go into this iridescent purple on the bottom here on a Real Techniques shading brush. I'm gonna wet that with Fix Plus. I wanna make a note that these shimmers seem to work best when they're not just wet with a little bit of Fix Plus or other setting spray on your brush, but like saturated with it. The more you wet it, the better it seems to work. What's not working is that brush. I'm gonna switch to a MAC 272S. Ooh, they apply really nicely with the finger. I'm gonna go back into this matte purple shade here. I'm gonna go into this shade up here that I haven't used quite yet on a small blending brush. I'm just gonna kind of flick the end out with that and blend it out a little bit further. I just feel like that would be a little bit more flattering. I'm gonna go into the center of the lid and I'm gonna use my finger for this because I've noticed that these more like chunky ones work really well with your finger. I'm gonna go into the light kind of lavender pinky shade on the top here. I'm just gonna tap that right in the center. Added concealer and powder underneath my eyes, and I wanna do like a lavender waterline, and I don't have a lavender waterline pencil, so I'm gonna use a lavender lip pencil. Do as I say, not as I do. Don't use lip liners in your waterline because you can get a sty and it's not fun. I sanitized this, I rubbed it off on a piece of paper towel and wasted a lot of it in order to make it no longer be so unsanitary, but it's not worth it. Just find a lavender pencil. ColourPop has one. I just don't have it dried up. I used it in a tutorial recently and then I didn't put the cap back on. That's the second thing today. Put this in my waterline. And I'm gonna go into this more lavender shade down here on my Nabla small pencil brush. And I'm gonna use that color to smoke out the lower lash line a little bit. Next, I'm gonna grab a little bit of this center shade on a small pencil brush. I'm gonna wet that and I'm gonna use that to highlight the inner portion on the lower lash line. And I'm bringing that up a little bit into the inner corner over where we put down that pink because I think it's layering nicely over that and I like the shine it's giving me. Okay, I finished up my skin with the Nabla highlight in Divinizer. I used the House of Lashes Midnight Luxe again. I filled in a few of my moles with my Urban Decay brow blade, and now we need to add a lip. I want to keep a focus on the pretty neon eyes, so I'm gonna do a very simple lip. I'm gonna use a Dose of Colors liquid lipstick. This is my main from the Decay collection. And this is the second look. We did a t-shirt change because it's the next morning. It's hot out today. So today's look is gonna celebrate that by being like a summer sunset. Now I wore this, something similar to this. I'm gonna do it a little bit different than I did it the other day, but I wore something similar to this last weekend to a barbecue. My 2-year-old niece was there. She calls me Nee, and she pointed to my eyes and said, "Cool eye, Nee." And you know what that tells me? Because 2-year-olds are the most honest people on this entire planet, is that it was a cool eye. So we're gonna use the same palette to do that here today. We're using the Neon Orange palette for this one, and I'm gonna start by going into the center shade here, which is like a mid-tone neon bright orange. I'm picking that up on a Luxe 121 mini tapered brush. And I'm gonna start by placing that color not quite on the outer half of my eyelid, but like right where my iris ends. And I'm bringing that from the lash line all the way up past the crease and blending that out softly with a clean brush. Next, on the very same brush, I'm gonna go into this orange in the bottom corner. And I'm gonna place that on the more center portion. Next, I'm gonna dip into this more pink shade right here on a pencil brush. And on the same pencil brush, this purpley pink shade right here. When I did this last week, I did not do this part, but I'm gonna go into the yellow on a fluffy brush. This is a Morphe M433. And I'm just gonna lightly tap that on the end and like flick that outward. Next, I'm gonna take this small Luxe 141 mini brush and I'm gonna go into the shimmering pink right here. This has a bit of an orange shift to it as well. And I'm gonna place that right on the inner corner. Okay, so now we've got this gradient of color going on across the lids. And for the wing, I'm gonna use the same eyeliner as I did in the first look. This is the Urban Decay Perversion Waterproof Eyeliner. I added some under eye concealer and now I'm gonna just work on the lower lash line a little bit. I'm gonna go into the darkest of the orange matte shades. Picking that up again on my little Luxe 141 mini brush and I'm just gonna use that to define the lower lash line and I'm just gonna blend it out very lightly. I'm gonna pick up this little lash line brush from Nabla and I'm gonna go into the orange shimmer at the top of the palette and I'm gonna wet that and put it on the remaining little spot between the inner corner and the orange. And I think the best way to finish this up will be to brighten up the waterline. So I'm gonna pick up my Tarte Fake Awake pencil again and just run that through my waterline to open up the eyes. Before you go, I don't know the words to that song. All right, I'm gonna go finish up with some mascara and some lashes and we will add a lip to the situation. Delicious. To finish this look, you could totally 100% just go with like a nice warm nude or even a nude gloss and it would look absolutely stunning. And to be honest, you could probably take it in either direction. You could either be like a cool nude gloss, a warm nude gloss, and it would work with both because you do have both orange and pink in there. So get a lot of options here. But because this is the Neon Obsessions video that we're doing today, I would like to do a bright orange lip to go with the orange palette. So I'm gonna start by using the Kat Von D liquid lipstick in the shade Malice, which is like a burnt orange red. And I'm gonna go over that with the Studded Kiss cream lipstick in the color Agogo, which is like a bright neon orange in itself. And this is the third look. Okay, so after doing 3 looks with these palettes, I have some thoughts. First of all, the packaging on these is quite possibly one of the best packagings I've ever seen on a whole. The branding of it makes perfect sense. It's really well executed. It's very cool visually. Like on camera, they don't look as exciting as they do in person. In person, these are stunning. They almost look lit from within when they're just sitting on the table. It's like they just catch your eye from across the room. They are absolutely beautiful. And the quality on the packaging is out of this world. It feels like heavy acrylic. I don't know if it's actually made of acrylic, but it just feels like high quality. All the components work really smoothly. The hinges seem sturdy. It closes well. The packaging is just dead on, executed beautifully. The quality of the shadows I think is also very good as well. In general, bright matte neon shades tend to feel and perform a bit more dry than other shadows just because of the way those formulations generally work. And these are really no exception. Not overly so to a degree where it would feel like it affects the performance of the eyeshadow. The shimmers in these 3 palettes for the most part are like that very chunky sort of crumbly shimmer. You know what I'm talking about. You know that formula. They're beautiful, but I do feel like they perform much better when they are very wet on your brush. They also perform better if you use them on your finger. It's almost as if you have to like crush down the pigments in there in some way. There are a couple of shades that don't seem to be like that are more of just like a creamy shimmer. Like this shimmer yellow in the bottom here, this one, this is not as chunky That's how it looks on my finger, by the way. We didn't get to use this one today. I've actually never purchased a Huda eyeshadow palette before. I don't really know why. I think it's because most of her more popular ones have been on the nude side, and it's a little bit boring to make videos with those, so I don't really generally gravitate toward them. I know people either love them or hate them. I think I like them. I think I'm on board with the Huda eyeshadow formula. I do have one gripe with these palettes, and that is that I don't think that the palettes are very well balanced as far as the colors that are in them. So the orange one is the best balance of all of them. It has the most differentiation between all of the shades. A lot of these shades are really, really similar in their depth, and they really only vary in like the undertones. So for example, these two pinks here, they're really similar, except one is a little bit more lavender and one is a little bit more traditionally pink. And they do look slightly different when applied to the eye, but because these are only 9 pans, I feel like it would have been more effective to include something that was a lot more deep or a lot more bright, so that way you could get a little variation. That way every look wouldn't come out so much like a wash of colors. You can create some depth, you can create some shadow, you can create some highlighted raised areas with mattes and stuff like that. The shimmers are fine, those are all different enough, but the mattes in here, I feel like there could have been a little bit more variation in there to make these palettes a little bit more functional in and of themselves. Since they're only a $29 palette, that's not cheap, but it's also not so expensive that I would feel upset having to supplement from another palette if I was gonna do a different look that required like more depth and stuff like that. So it's not the end of the world. It doesn't make me not like these, but I do think that if they had done something like that, it could have taken these from being a cool little accoutrement to our other palettes that we have in our collection to a really, really bomb standalone neon palette. So that's like my only complaint with these. Other than that, I think they're really fantastic. I'm so excited to have some neon to play with for summer because I am having a neon moment in my life right now, just in general. I'm having a moment with neons and I'm having a moment with mom jeans. And I'm not apologizing for any of it. I love it all. Some people would say that you probably shouldn't wear mom jeans if you're old enough to be somebody's mom, but you know what? I disagree. So overall, I think these are super fun and I think they're very good quality. Please let me know if you have them, if you've been looking at them. Did you try them? What are your thoughts? Do you love them? Do you hate them? Let me know in the comments. I love to hear from you guys what you think of these products as well. Please don't forget to leave a like on this video because it helps me out in a big way and I always appreciate it. And if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe so we can continue hanging out and talking about makeup and having a good old time. We have a book club here on this channel now. It's a good time to subscribe. I have been cranking out content lately, so if you don't, you're missing a lot of stuff. If you would like to keep up with me between videos, I am at Miss Queen Face over on Instagram. I post other stuff over there like lip art. I do close-ups of makeup I do here on this channel sometimes. I do other more elaborate looks that never really make their way to this channel. And I keep my stories updated with all sorts of behind the scenes and PR unboxings and polls about what we're gonna do here on YouTube. So come join me over there for that. Thank you for watching. I appreciate you and I will see you in the next one.